Hello, everyone. Welcome to Power Pantaloons podcast. My name is Tanya. I am your holistic cancer wellness guide. And today we have Misty Brown Pearson with us. Hi, Misty.
Hello, hello. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you today?
I'm great.
Fantastic. Can you tell the audience what you do?
Yes, again, as Tanya stated, my name is Misty Brown Pearson, and I am a woman of many things. I'm a licensed mental health therapist, but I like to consider myself a life transitioner because not only do I work with individuals on their mental well-being, but I also help individuals with their overall well-being. I'm a true believer that wellness is wealth. So I really educate and encourage individuals on the toxins and things that we are exposed to and the impact that have on our overall wellness.
Is it just the toxins in our food? Are you talking about in our houses, in the air, or everything, all of the above?
Yes, toxins that we ingest, toxins that we put on our biggest organ, which is our skin, the toxins that we breathe in our environment, in our homes, as well as, the in the economy, in our just natural everyday environment. But the things that we have control over, are most important to me, like our homes and what we use in our skin and ingest in our bodies. Those are the things that are very near and dear to my heart because those are the things that we do have some control over.
Absolutely. So are you talking about when you're grocery shopping, doing the outside loop and not purchasing any of the prepackaged foods
Yes, exactly. Those processed foods, exactly.
and finding farmers markets when you can and eating organic
Eating
and stuff
organic and
like that?
fresh, yes, freshly grown. When you can, of course, we're not always privy to that. So but there are ways we can still make better decisions.
Yes, and I do believe, like I agree with you that health is wealth and food is medicine. Food is medicine. So I would love to talk about the house environment and some suggestions that you have on improving it. I know that it's easier to do it like one item at a time.
Yes. And one of the things when it comes to the things that we have in our homes, a lot of those things they're called endocrine disruptors. They have this chemical that's in them that once it gets into our bodies, it throws off our hormonal balance. And what happens with that is our body thinks that this is a hormone, like a natural hormone, or it can tend to block those natural hormones that causes health problems. So some of the things that endocrine disruptors can be found in, it could be things like the BPAs that, canned food, plastics, the containers that we use, even down to like a receipt paper that we get from the grocery store. If it's the receipt paper, so say you scratch your finger across the receipt paper and it turns black, that lets you know that that is one of those thermal paper receipts that has the BPAs in it. So minimizing certain products, like let's say laundry detergent that use those plastic containers. So that would be a start, making sure that you're reading and seeing if any BPAs are found in any of the ingredients, including that plastic container. Starting there with just those small things, laundry detergents, toothpaste, lotion, deodorant. So if you start with those small things and just start gradually replacing those items, then you're really eliminating some of those toxins that you're exposing yourself to on a daily basis. And not saying everyone is using those toxic products, but just make sure that you're looking at those things that you do currently have in your home and going through and reading up on them. That you can do some research on Google too and pull up and find out exactly what certain ingredients are as well.
And, and you can make your own laundry detergent with borax, Fels-Naphtha, and washing soda,
Yes, exactly. You
and it
can't.
cleans beautiful.
It cleans good. Yes,
Cleans beautiful. And instead of laundry sheets, you could use a washcloth and some essential oils
exactly. There you go.
or the little felt
A
balls.
little bit. All. Yep. Hmm.
Love those.
Yeah. So yeah, those are just some of the things. As we hear a lot about the phthalates that are found in our cosmetics, different fragrances as well. So Those are things to really, really think about, because they really create developmental disorders, reproductive issues, women having infertility issues or just other issues like endometriosis, those different types of things, even certain cancers um, have been found to be linked to some of these items.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I try. Like I've made my own soap. I've made my own body butters, and stuff like that. And I prefer to use unscented stuff when I can because I'm allergic to fragrance oils. But that doesn't always work. Sometimes you end up with it.
Yeah,
But there are ways that you can find there the uh, the growth in the cosmetic industry with this kind of stuff in mind
hmm
is is amazing. There are so many new beauty brands opening up, and they worry about parabens and
yeah,
formaldehyde and
formaldehyde, yes.
titanium dioxide and all kinds
Yeah,
of other stuff that goes into cosmetics. Yeah,
yep, yep. And and like you say, a lot of things individuals can make on their own. And I commend you for being one of those people who go out there and make your own soaps and things. Myself, I have tried, but I just don't find myself having the time because, like I said, I do multiple things. So, in trying to help others, but so what I do, I just find holistic, whole foods. I made have a wellness club that I shop at, completely plant-based products. So that's where I find my things at for those who can't or just feel like they don't have the time or aren't into making those things, choose those alternatives such as those. Um, just kind of making sure that look for plant-based items and things that aren't filled with toxins and be careful about if it says natural or organic. You still need to make sure that you're really doing your research because
natural just means made in nature. Nightshade is natural. Arsenic is
exactly,
natural. You know,
exactly,
just
exactly.
because the regulations on the word natural, there aren't any.
Yeah,
So anybody can just say that it's natural and they allow you to assume whatever it is you want to assume
exactly.
about that word. Absolutely.
Yep,
Yeah. So you
exactly.
you do have to be careful. Organic, they do have to certify for that.
hmm
But
And if it doesn't say certified, then you might better.
you know, people do stuff they're not supposed to do all the time.
Mhm.
Do your research. And changing your diet, food is medicine. Changing your diet before you end up with a diagnosis such as cancer would benefit you. I My food wasn't excellent. I mean, it wasn't horrible, but it wasn't excellent. And when you're going through chemotherapy and radiation, that's not the time to have to try to figure out how to cook better for yourself.
Yeah,
You should do that beforehand so that it's more natural to you because once you start radiation or even the chemo,
mhm.
the stamina that you once had disappears like smoke and you can barely put your pants on some days.
Mm,
So if you're doing that and then trying to learn how to feed yourself better, that's a very difficult time to learn how to do that. So I highly recommend that you start before I did and start now.
yeah,
But there are little changes that you can make. Just put more vegetables on your plate and put less bread
yeah,
and
yeah.
starchy things on your plate.
Mhm. Yeah,
It makes a difference. It
it does.
absolutely makes a difference.
And one of the things, Tanya, that I'm working on, I'm getting together some recipes and creating, recipe books and things like that that can really help because a lot of times people find that they think it's going to be difficult to switch up and to try to cook differently. But you can be very creative with it. The foods are very yummy, just certain seasonings that you use, they're very good. And the thing about it is that certain seasonings help with certain illnesses as well, herbal seasonings. So just kind of being able to spice that food up, and so I'm putting together some recipes and things as well. So
Absolutely. The stuff that we use as seasonings, that medicinal
yeah,
plant medicines. I could talk for days about turmeric and
yes,
garlic
and
and how
garlic.
beautiful it is for your body, and onions.
Yes,
You know, there are a lot of um, seasoning herbs that we use in our spices that are anti-inflammatory,
exactly.
you
Inflammation.
know,
Yeah.
and that is one of our biggest problem as a nation is we are constantly inflamed because of
Yes.
all of the garbage in the air and all of the stuff we put into our bodies or and on our bodies.
Exactly. And that with that inflammation comes the chronic pain, and inflammation prevents our body from doing a lot of things that it would naturally do to heal on its own. Um, so yeah, that's very important. Yeah.
So put some turmeric into everything. And if you're using the turmeric, you want to use fresh ground pepper
Fresh
with it.
ground pepper. Yeah. You sound like my mom.
Well, do you know why? Do you
No,
know
I
why?
never knew why. Why?
Because the fresh ground pepper works synergistically with
Okay.
the curcumin in the turmeric, and it expands the benefit of the turmeric 1000% yes, because they work in harmony and it just boosts it up, and it has to be fresh ground now. It can't be like something about the energetics in the pepper itself.
Okay. I see like I read that somewhere, but yeah, okay. That
Somewhere,
makes
yeah.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's out there, and it's I think I found that information on PubMed, maybe. I know it's out there. I'll find the research. I'll make sure I'll put it in the show notes, so people can find it and research for themselves. But there are so many beautiful herbs that help with that kind of stuff.
Yes, it really is. There really is. Yeah, and I'll probably include some of that in the book that I'm putting together with the recipes, certain spices and what the benefits are. So
Well,
but
if
I'll get that to you too, and I'll try to get that to you before the show
thank you,
airs. Yeah.
thank you. The if you look at all the cultures around the world and all of their spice profiles, like Asians have the set that they like to use,
Mhm.
and Mexicans have the set that they like to use. There's a lot of ancient wisdom in the cooking,
Yeah, it really is.
because all of the cultures learned the healing of the food. Herbs are just part of that.
Yeah. And it's to consider what part of the um states they're in, what continent, and what herbs are growing for their area, because that's our bodies can adapt to our environment. So that's very important to think about as well.
Yes, like when you have allergies, you can take local honey
Local
and
honey, yes.
it'll help ease the allergies because it has to do with where you are geographically. I
Yeah.
find that fascinating. I don't know the science behind that yet, but I'm sure there's something there.
What I
Like
heard was because the bees pollinate in all the plants that are around,
right
and
there.
that's what we're exposed to. So that's what I've heard. The research that I've saw on it, that's what it was.
So
So
they're being microdosed of the
hmm
allergen. That's
yeah,
very interesting.
yeah. And when you think about when you get the allergen test, they put a sample of each.
Allergen
Yeah.
on your back
Oh,
in
yes,
rows.
exactly. So,
I may have done some of those tests.
but yeah, but it's there's so much about wellness that we can discuss and really kind of go through, but it's just really important that individuals start somewhere and get the basic knowledge. Gut health, that's another important one. You know, um,
Fermented foods.
yeah, and everything, because everything that we're talking about, it really kind of contributes to that gut, and that gut is our second brain. They communicate. Um, so that's very important as well. The different heavy metals that may be in food, antibiotics. Believe it or
Yeah,
not, some people, find that hard to believe, but antibiotics also contributes to poor gut health, leaky gut syndrome.
because
Um,
it completely wipes out your gut flora,
exactly.
and then it allows the bad
The bad
bacteria, which
bacteria.
grows faster.
Exactly.
Yeah, you have to keep it balanced. And then, of course, there's the resistance to the antibiotics because we overuse it.
Because we
They need
overuse
to
it.
stop putting it in our food.
Yep. Yep.
That's part of the problem,
Exactly. Exactly. Um,
which circles back to where we started.
yeah, it does. It really does. Inflammation, autoimmune disease, all of those different things, because with leaky gut, once our guts is off balance, it's what they call dysbiosis. Dysbiosis is so it causes leaky gut, and that's just toxins and poisons getting into our bloodstream. And that's
Yeah.
where we're coming with the inflammation and the autoimmune diseases. Those are the root causes to a lot of these things. And, not saying that changing your diet now or eliminate these things is going to cure, but it could prevent the flare ups and it could, you know, lessen the amount of times you're having flare ups. It can really give you some relief.
Right. We're not giving medical advice. We're not
Yes,
doctors, but
exactly.
we're talking about things that can help um, prevent things.
Yes.
It it's important to advocate for your own health, especially since the teachings that we received in school or through society aren't up to date.
Yeah.
And we can debate whether they did that on purpose or not later, because that's not what this platform
That's
is
another.
for. That yes, that's a whole different
Yes.
soapbox. But having the right tools to keep yourself well, that's your responsibility.
Yes.
It's your responsibility. It's your responsibility to advocate for your health. It's your responsibility to keep working to find who is the right doctor for you.
Yeah,
All of that plays a part.
it does. It really does. And it's
And
very,
starting sooner rather than later
yeah.
can make all the difference in the world.
And it goes back, Tony, a lot of individuals, and I'm guilty. When I was younger, um, just a few shy years ago, I had this mindset that, well, this is what grandma did ate. Grandma them fed us this, and they were okay. But then, as I look back over my history, grandma them died young from different types of illnesses and things that maybe they didn't really know about back then because they didn't have the information or the access to it. you know. So a lot of times people are just kind of stuck there with this is how grandma them did it.
Right, but you also you look at some of these people and they're 100 years old, and they have a pile of bacon and eggs and toast for breakfast every day, and they have for the last 100 years,
Mhm.
right? So maybe fat isn't the problem.
Yeah.
Maybe having some carbs isn't the problem. Maybe getting off your butt and
It's the
moving
activity.
is because that's all they did.
Yeah,
They worked all day. And it
exactly.
was hard manual labor.
And
Now
another thing, go
we're
ahead.
sitting in chairs.
Exactly, exactly. And there's the pesticides that's used on the foods now too. So we
Yeah,
have to take that into consideration. Were they using those things back then? No,
no. No, but they gardened completely different. They used
they
food
did.
forests and not farmland with one crop and just
E-
one crop, which depletes the soil. If you build a
Exactly.
forest and your tomatoes are over here and your figs are over here, and
Yeah.
the companion planting and all of that,
Mhm.
you could just walk through the forest and pick dinner.
Yeah, exactly. And you mentioned the soil depletion. That's another thing that we really, have to think about and consider. That's why oftentimes you find that individuals needing nutritional supplements because we're not getting what we need in our foods because the soil has been depleted. Yeah,
The soil's been depleted, and some of the foods are created in a manner to take those nutritions out.
exactly, exactly.
And then they
Genetically
supplement
modified.
with artificial
Mm-hmm.
supplements, and it just
Yeah.
it's crazy. That's the word I'm going to use here. It's a little bit crazy. So you have to advocate for yourself, and you have to go ahead and go get your nutrition, and you have to do more homework.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Learning about, and everybody's body is different. So you're going to need different things. And I don't know if it's based on blood type or if it's based on ancestry or if it's based on whatever. Like, I think all of that plays a part, which is
Yeah.
why when people have a hard time losing weight, it's because they're trying to use a thing that worked for one guy.
Yes, exactly.
And everybody has to have a unique plan for themselves. And it's not a diet, it
Yeah.
is a lifestyle. You have to change your entire lifestyle.
Yeah. And with health coaching, that's one of the models, bio individuality, because we are all individuals and we need to have a individual plan based on our bio development. Like you said, we're all unique, different. We're different. So what works for you, you may be losing weight quick. It might not work for me. I may just be stuck. So based on, like you said, the individuality of the person, that's very important.
Right. Well, I think genealogy has something to do with it too. Like if your ancestors, you know, ate all the potatoes.
Exactly. And that's what I've recently learned. That comes with our blood types too.
Yeah,
How they migrated and depending on what part of where they were living at, what area they were living in, if there were more meats or if there was more, plants. And so that's how our blood types kind of came about. Because again, we evolved and we adapted to the environment that we were in. Um,
right. So,
yeah,
you know,
all of that.
absolutely. Abs do your research, put your plan together, go see your medical practitioner, talk
Mhm.
to them about it. But you have a right to question what they say to you.
Exactly. I'm glad you mentioned that.
I I feel really very strongly about that.
Uh,
I understand that they went to school and they have learned a lot, and I respect that. But I have lived in my body my entire life, so they need to respect that too.
exactly.
So it's a conversation, it shouldn't be a one-way street.
That's right. I totally agree.
Yeah, that's a soapbox I will stand on. I have a lot of soapboxes I've noticed.
That's good.
Yeah, it is. All right, well, Misty, it was great having you here today.
Thank you for having me.
And I'm going to make sure to put your contact information in the show notes so people can find you.
All right. I appreciate that. And I'm going to get, as soon as I get that recipe put together, hopefully it'll be before the show airs. I'm going to make sure it is before the show airs.
Okay, that sounds fantastic. We'll give everybody some recipes. That'd be fantastic.
All
Thank
right.
you.
It was great
All
being
right.
here. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.